And that, my friends, that is how you finish a story. Hello and welcome to FTTR, I am Hugh McQuaid, and today we are talking about Progress Wrestling Chapter 163, Twisted Metal, the big event that took place last weekend, featuring the huge cage match between Kid Lycos and Spike Trivet. We'll talk about this. We will talk about this show and my thoughts on this show in a moment, but before we do, please hit subscribe, please like this video, please comment your thoughts down below on the show. Were you there live? I want to know what it was like. If you were there live, please let me know in the comments and I'll try to reply to every single one of them as we dive into this. So first off, I've just got to put a little asterisk, Chapter 162 in the Light of the Dragon. I've not done a full video on that. Really fun show. Nice to see the grizzled young veterans in there against Sunshine Machine. It was a really entertaining show. I've just not done a full video on it. And that meant moving into Chapter 163, which was, you know, heavily featured around the steel cage match, which was announced at the last show. Kid Lycos getting his shot at Spike Trivet after winning the Thunder Bastard match. And that is the big match that we have got on this show. Where to begin? Where to begin on my overall thoughts? That's how I usually like to start these videos off. I thought this was top to bottom a really strong show. Like, really good stuff on here that I really loved. Surprises, shocks, bangers. But, like, the main event for me, the more I've thought about it, and I have only watched it recently, I have literally watched it about half an hour ago, and it's just been ringing around in my brain. I think the main event is probably my match of the year so far. There were so many elements in this main event, in this cage match, that I unabashedly loved, and this was a case of giving us fans what we wanted, giving a satisfying ending to a 2-year storyline of Spike Trivet's reign. I think it was flawless storytelling, an incredible match, and I'm going to remember this show for a long time, because that main event was the culmination that we needed. But before we get into the main event, we've got a show to run through, and I have some thoughts on those. So we'll start off with my feed. So I was watching this on Demand Progress. I don't know if there was issues with my feed or if it was something to do with the stream, but I won't be talking about promos because there was no sound for any of the promos on this show, so I couldn't get anything off that. It's going to be strictly based on mainly in-ring stuff and the little bits of audio that I got. So all the in-ring action had sound, but the promo segments didn't from Demand Progress, so I apologise if I'm not talking about the promos and any story ramifications that came from those promos. But it started off with a nice little surprise, a pre-show match. Never seen one of them before on a Progress show, to one that I've been or one that I've watched. And that was Jack Bandicoot taking on Taishi Azawa from Pro Wrestling Noah. This was a nice little fun exhibition match. It was really nice to see Jack Bandicoot again. I think he's really fun. He's a really energetic, charismatic guy. And Taishi Azawa, don't know much about him. He's sort of wearing the young lion get up, the black trunks and everything like that, so he's over here on excursion and doing some stuff with Progress. He was really cool, very stoic, lots of hard chops. There was a nice little chop battle in the middle of this where Jack Bandicoot takes off his glove and starts wailing in some chops on Taishi, and it was really fun. It was a really fun, didn't go particularly long, went about 7 minutes or so, and everyone got their stuff in, and Jack Bandicoot came out on top. Seemed to have a little bit of friction with Azawa, which was interesting. Maybe we'll get further heel stuff from Azawa, because I believe now Azawa is on a potential losing streak. I believe he's facing Tate Mayfairs at the next show. So we'll see where this goes. He was reluctant to hold or shake the hand of Jack Bandicoot in this opening match, so we'll see how canonically this fits in as a pre-show match. But yeah, interesting stuff this. And then we got a tag team match. The Cheeky Little Buggers, the team of Charles Crowley and Alexis Falcon, taking on Gene Money and his mystery partner, sorry, his mystery partner had issues with the flight and couldn't get over, so Progress Replacement had given him Danny Black as a fill-in, as a really good surprise. I was very, very happy to see Danny Black. I've not seen Danny Black since Super Strong Style, and he's back teaming with Gene in this really, really fun match, because this had story ramifications throughout the show, which we'll get to later. What I really loved about this match was how much tag team offense was in there, particularly with the cheeky little buggers and how well they work together as a unit, hitting like a wheelbarrow neck breaker, which looked really, really sick. And this sort of played into Alexis Falcon getting worked over for a lot of the match and leading to the hot tag from Charles Crowley, who had a really good, really nice flurry. But eventually they picked up the win. It was the cheeky little buggers who came out on top. And just let me double check my notes. It was a double submission. That's the one. So Black and G Money were miscommunicating a little bit. They were hitting each other with clotheslines and stuff like that. And that led to a double submission spot where both guys tapped out to Falcon and Crowley, picking up a big win. Really, really cool. And I'm happy, we'll get into this a bit more later, I'm happy intergender wrestling is a thing, because if people are up to do it, then I don't see why there should be an issue or an uproar or anything like that. Believability, if you're going on about believability, then I don't really think you should be watching professional wrestling. If your argument is, oh, like, that's unrealistic that a woman would be able to suplex a guy, well, I'm sorry, but if you throw someone towards a rope, they're not going to run back at you. So maybe leave those thoughts at the door if that's how you feel on intergender wrestling, because I thought this was bloody fun, and we'll get into even more fun intergender wrestling later on. This was a really hot way to open the show. Next up, we got a big match between Man Like Doris and Yoichi. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, from Pro Wrestling Noah. He's doing a lot of stuff with Progress right now. He had one of my favourite matches of last year with Luke Jacobs at Wonder Brawl. And this was really, really good. Didn't reach the heights of that Luke Jacobs match, because that Luke Jacobs match was off the charts level of good. But Man Like Doris put in a brilliant showing here, showing why he's one of the best all-rounders in British wrestling today, with the kip-ups, with the feats of strength, with the 450s. He's just that damn good. There were lots of chops in this, lots of brutal-looking strikes, and Doris hit a really cool-looking kip-up into a cutter, which looked beautiful. And then the finish came when Doris caught a giant flying shoulder tackle from Yoichi, caught him into a cutter, and then hit the 450 splash for the win. No sort of story ramifications here other than Man Like Doris picking up a big win, but this was a really, really fun exhibition match, and I hope we see more of Man Like Doris going forward. He factored into the main event a little bit, so that sort of main event scene building a little bit more in Progress, and we'll see where Doris goes from here. Then we got the match for the Women's Progress World Championship as Riho defended her belt against Emerson Jane. This was a fun match. These two were working really, really well together. They're partners in TNT and I believe North Wrestling. They hold the tag belts, and they worked really, really well together. This was a really solid match where they were just really crisp, and lots of cool looking strikes. But this had a bit of a smodgy finish, because we're clearly building some sort of maybe a multi-woman match, or maybe a sort of hardcore stip match with Nina Samuels, because Nina Samuels ran down and caused the DQ. Basically, she started wailing on Riho towards the last stage of this match, and that caused the DQ, meaning that that Riho is technically the winner. So, where do we go from here? We'll get into that a little bit more later. I hope Emerson Jane sticks around, because she was really, really impressive in this match. I really love a lot of the stuff I've seen from Emerson Jane. She was really great at the Wrestle Carnival show that I went. I think she's great, and one of the low-key best women's rosters on the planet is Progress Wrestling. I really love it, and having such a decorated champ like Riho there is even better, because she's got all the belts. She's got all of the belts right now. And yeah, we'll dive into this a little bit more when we talk about the other women's match on the card. But yeah, this was fun. DQ finish, but I can handle that this time. Now I think we've got the match/angle that will divide fans, and that is the Smokin Aces taking on Sanity for the Progress World Tag Team Championships. I'm getting a bit confused there. This was really fun, really fun. Again, a lot of tag team cohesion in this, which I like to see. It wasn't just a case of one guy gets worked over and another guy makes the hot tag. No, there was lots of cohesion here, lots of multi-man spots, especially with Damo and Axel Tischer. The brutal looking senton onto the knees backbreaker that they did to Charlie, I'm blanking on his name, Charlie Sterling. That looked brutal. Damo was probably my MVP of this match. He was on fire with some of the stuff that he was doing. It was really, really good stuff. Really good tag team wrestling, and it really had a big fight feel to it. And the finish. So the finish came when Nick Riley rolled up Damo, put his foot on the ropes, and Charlie Sterling held his feet on the ropes. Dirty finish, of course it is, and that's how the Smokin Aces retained. Fair enough, the match was really good. Whether they should have done a finish like that straight after the other DQ finish is another question, but I really enjoyed the match. No sort of retaliation from Sanity. I thought there'd be a bit more sort of anger towards the Smokin Aces, but I can see where we're going with this, which we'll talk about at the end of the video, because there's a lot of stuff to talk about at the end of the video. Then, who should come out but the cheeky little buggers? Cheeky little buggers themselves come out, and they say, you've not beaten every tag team in Progress. You've not beaten us. And then they go down to the ring. The Smokin Aces cut a heel promo on why they should not be an intergender match. Alexis Falcon runs them down. Sexist comments from Nick Riley, which cause, the fans to boo the heel, which is really cool. And then they accept the match, and we have a tag team match. We have a tag team match for the Progress World Tag Team Championships. The cheeky little buggers versus the Smokin Aces. And I was like, oh, okay, interesting. And then they flipped it on its head. So for the majority of this match, this tag team match, it was Charles Crowley who was being worked over after Alexis Falcon was yeeted into some chairs. And he's the one who has to make the hot tag to Alexa, which is the opposite of what sort of happened in the match earlier. And then Alexis makes this tag and gets double super kicked / big booted straight away. And I'm like, ooh, okay. And what happens next is Alexis Falcon rolls up, I believe it's Nick Riley, puts her feet on the ropes. 1, 2, 3, boom. We have new Progress Tag Team Champions, the cheeky little buggers. Smokin Aces' reign is over. Yeah, I feel like this could divide fans. Me, I'm into it because all the representation, I love it. I think Alexis Falcon is great, and I think her with Charles Crowley is great as well. I think this sort of serves as the end, or at least one of the final chapters of Dominatus Regnum in Progress, and the sort of stuff that they're going to be doing from now on. This sort of capped off that story. They were out bastarded, They were beaten by the twat. They were beaten by a heel way that they've been doing time and time again. And yeah, I really like that as a story crutch. I really like the way this is going. I'm excited to see what's going to happen with the tag belts now that Crowley and Falcon have them, because they've already announced, a rematch that is currently happening. And I'm really excited to see where we go Dominatus Reign from here, and how this affects not just the Smokin Aces, but Spike and Bullet, and how this affects their confidence. I think it's really interesting and really exciting. A very big shock title change that I was happy to see, I've got to say. Next up, we had a 2 out of 3 falls match between Lizzy Evo and Kanji. These two have been having bangers as of late, absolute bangers, and they went out there and they had another slight banger. It was 2 out of 3 falls. Lizzy Evo got the first one. She managed to out wrestle Kanji and get the 1, 2, 3. And then she whips Kanji into the ropes, and the top rope implodes. We have no top rope anymore. It is gone. So now they're working another match. They're working a different style of match because they ain't got no top rope. It becomes a little bit more brutal. Lizzy Evo's choking Kanji with the rope. She's choking her with the turnbuckle and used it in a camel clutch. It becomes that more ruthless kind of match. And then Kanji again gets her flurry. She gets out of it, manages to hit her brutal looking strikes on Lizzy Evo for the 1, 2, 3, and then they are tied a piece. And what should happen at the end? But Nina bloody Samuels comes down. She gets involved, takes out Kanji, and Lizzy Evo manages to get the win. I think that's good. I think Lizzy Evo is who you need to be pushing. I think she's probably next in line to dethrone Riho as the champion. I think she's brilliant. What this seems to set up is a 4-way match potentially between Nina Samuels, Kanji, Riho, and Lizzy Evo. I think that's the way to go, maybe for the WrestleMania weekend show. Is it WrestleMania weekend? The April show that Progress are doing? I think that's the match you can build to, and you could really have like a crazy plunder-filled 4-way match. I think it rides itself. I think it's really, really great storytelling that they've managed to sort of keep this feud between Kanji and Lizzy Evo. They've sort of managed to cap that off with this match, but also further the other stories that they're telling and sort of this big cauldron of goodness in the women's division, at the top of the women's division. I think a 4-way match is the way to go. I reckon we'll get the Nina Samuels Riho match first, maybe some interference from Kanji or Lizzy Evo will cause that, and then we'll get the 4-way match. I'm happy with it. I'm happy with this match. I thought it was really good. Not amazing, but really good. Next up, we got Simon Miller taking on Rob Drake. This was interesting. Not a long match. Not a long match in the slightest. This was, 7 minutes or so. It was Rob Drake sort of working over Simon Miller. Simon Miller, being Simon Miller, being charismatic and everything. And then a little bit of interference from, not Nina Samuels, from Lana Austin. Lana Austin on the outside of the ring. She tries to get involved. She runs into the ring, looks to hit Simon with a shoe, runs into a big old spear from Rob Drake, and then a big old spear from Simon Miller to Rob Drake for the 1, 2, 3. Simon Miller picks up a win. Very happy to see. Very happy to see. There's not much more to say about this match other than we'll see where this sort of goes in terms of storytelling for Simon Miller. I would imagine Simon's going to play a part in Strong Style, Super Strong Style 16, I would imagine. Rob Drake, interesting. We'll see where this goes with Lana Austin. I'm intrigued to see how the Lana Austin experience continues. Will it sort of be just a tag act? Who knows? We'll see what happens with Lana Austin experience. But this was fun. Let me say that. It was fun. Next up, we got the doubleheader, the big Lycos matches. Kid Lycos 2 taking on Bullet in the co-main event, if you will. The match that precedes the main event. This was exactly what it needed to be, and that was a David versus Goliath match because Bullet is massive, Lycos is not. So they had a really fun match, which got a huge reaction when Lycos 2 hit a Death Valley driver on Bullet, and fans were just like, oh my god, that is insane. I think Bullet is arguably the best big man in wrestling today. He knows how to sell the little guys perfectly. He has speed. He has charisma. Like when he had his hand up and the crowd were chanting about, if you hate Bullet, put your hands up. That was so funny. That got me completely. And he sort of ran down the offense of Lycos. He'd be that brick wall to get in the way, but he's always there with speed as well when you need him to. And then Lycos hit double stomp after getting the upper hand, powers up Bullet for a brain buster. 1, 2, 3. Kid Lycos wins. Dominatus Regnum is crumbling right now, and it was a really good, feel-good victory for Lycos 2. I'm just excited. I'm just excited for what the story of Lycos is and the story of Dominatus Regnum. Are they going to crumble? Are they going to come back stronger? Are they going to have new members? It's so intriguing, really intriguing to see where this goes. And there's a lot of mileage, I think, in Dominatus Regnum. And this was an excellent example of a David versus Goliath match. And then we had the main event. We had the steel cage match for the Progress Wrestling World Championship as Spike Trivet defended his belt against Kid Lycos. So the steel cage match in Progress has been done once before, Spike Trivet versus Cara Noir, which was an excellent match. I believe this surpassed it in terms of storytelling, in terms of character, in terms of brutality. I think I loved this match more than that one. I think just Spike Trivet in general, his reign and the way he crafts matches and the stories that he tells and the character works, like when the crowd is just chanting Simon at him and he covers his ears, I think it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant character work that you don't really see in professional wrestling that much. He's just so in tune with his character, taking Lycos's mask on his belt to the ring, spitting in the mask and throwing it down and then having this big brawl. It is just perfect storytelling. And they had a banger of a match. Lots of blood. Lycos got busted open pretty early on from getting slammed into the cage. You had big move after big move after big move that would not put each other away. And yeah, it all sort of built to this finale that was just pure wrestling drama, in which it looks like Lycos is going to escape the cage, but the Smokin Aces slam the door on his head. First off, I want to say awesome callbacks. So I've said this time and time again. So Spike Trivet using Cara Noir's moveset in his is amazing. Lycos echoing that by using the moves of his friends later on in the match, using the clothesline of Luke Jacobs, using Chris Brooks' submission, the octopus, and using a load of those guys. Mad Kurt's move as well. Really awesome stuff. And yeah, that storytelling there, I love it when they call back to people and make it feel like a big fleshed out universe. So you then have Spike Trivet in the ring as the Smokin Aces are trying to stop Lycos from leaving, and then who should run down but bloody everyone. You had Sanity run down, you had man like Doris run down, you had Kid Lycos 2 leap from the cage onto both members of Smokin Aces, you had Riho run down, you had Gene Money run down. It was just this big Avengers Assemble moment, and that is what I think it's what it should have felt like. It should feel like all these people who've been wronged by Spike Trivet, by Dominatus Regnum, coming down and stopping it. They take out the Smokin Aces, and Spike realizes that he is alone. He is just by himself, and that is, that's where we started. Spike by himself, taking out Cara Noir, and just being an utter bastard. Super kick into a brain buster from Lycos for a really awesome 2 count, then hits a swanton for the 1, 2, 3 new Progress World Champion Kid Lycos. I thought this was utterly fantastic. I got goosebumps. I've got goosebumps just talking about it. I want to watch this again. It is, probably my favourite match of the year. My favourite cage match since the Young Bucks Lucha Brothers one. There's just it's fantastic. It's fantastic storytelling. It doesn't have to be this massive production like a WWE, like an AEW. You can tell incredibly personal stories that hit hard and get a cathartic reaction like this. And I think it's second to none. And we're entering this new era in Progress and in British wrestling in general. Will Ospreay leaving the Indies. You've got so many people now looking to flourish in whatever British promotion. I think it's just fantastic, and this is a match you should go out of your way to see because it is phenomenal. It is phenomenal. My match of the year, and I can't wait for other people to see it. I loved it. Absolutely loved it. And that capped off Twisted Metal. Overall, I'd give Twisted Metal probably a 4 out of 5. It didn't drag at all. The show was a breeze to get through, and that main event just phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal stuff. The rest of the show was good, but that main event was, jaw-dropping, in my opinion. And that wraps it. That is my thought on Progress Twisted Metal. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Will any of you be attending the For the Love of Progress show? I will be there. If you see me, do say hello. It would be nice. I've not interacted with a fan before. Do I have a fan? Imagine if I have a fan. I don't know how I'd react to a fan, but if you're there, say hello. Say hello. That'd be nice. And let me know all your thoughts down in the comments below. Thank you all ever so much for your support, and have a nice day.